Hello, and welcome to the Daily English Podcast. I'm David.
And I'm Emma. So nice to have you with us today. We're here to help you practice English with real friendly conversations.
That's right, Emma. And today we've got a topic that I think everyone can relate to. Have you ever tried to focus on something important, but you just couldn't stop checking your phone or thinking about lunch or... Oh, wait, what was I saying again?
Haha, exactly. Distractions are everywhere, right? So, our episode today is called Never Get Distracted Again. We're going to talk about why it's so hard to stay focused and what we can do about it. And of course, we'll help you learn English along the way.
So, if you ever find it hard to stay on task, maybe when you're studying English or doing homework or even at work, this episode is for you. And don't worry, we'll share lots of tips, real-life stories, and new words too.
Stick with us to the end, and you'll not only learn how to fight distractions, but also pick up some handy English phrases. Let's jump in.
So, Emma, let's start with a personal question. Are you someone who gets distracted easily?
Oh, definitely. I mean, sometimes I sit down to read a book or work on a task, and then bam, my phone buzzes, or I remember something I forgot to do, or I just start daydreaming. It happens all the time. What about you, David?
Honestly, yes. I especially have trouble focusing when I'm working from home. There's so many things around me. Snacks, TV, my cat walking across the keyboard. It's like my brain is always looking for a reason to stop working.
It's so true. And I think our listeners probably feel the same way sometimes. Distractions are just a part of life, especially these days with so much technology around us.
Right, and that's why we wanted to talk about it today. We're not saying it's possible to never, ever get distracted. That would be a little too perfect, I think. But we can learn how to manage distractions better. And maybe, just maybe, we can help our listeners find some new strategies to stay focused.
Exactly. Our goal is to help you find what works for you in your real life, whether you're learning English, working, or just trying to finish a good book without checking Instagram every 5 minutes.
Let's start from the beginning. What does it mean to be distracted? Emma, how would you explain that word to someone learning English?
Great question. To be distracted means your attention is pulled away from what you want to focus on. So for example, if you're trying to study, but you keep looking at your phone, you're distracted. Your mind is jumping from your book to your phone and back again.
That's it. And a distraction is the thing that pulls your attention away. So your phone is a distraction, or maybe for some people the sound of music or a noisy environment.
Some people even get distracted by their own thoughts, like you're thinking about what to eat for dinner when you're supposed to be doing your job. That's me, always thinking about food.
Haha, food is definitely a big distraction for me too. But let's dig a little deeper. Why do you think we get distracted so easily? Is it just our phones, or is there more to it?
Good question. I think technology is a big part of it. Our phones and computers are designed to grab our attention. Notifications, pop-ups, all those little sounds. But it's not just that. Sometimes our brains just want a break, especially if we're tired or bored.
Yeah, I read somewhere that our brains are actually looking for new and interesting things all the time. It's like we're curious by nature, so if something is more fun or exciting than our work, our minds just jump over to it.
That makes sense. And in English, we sometimes say the grass is always greener on the other side. It means that other things always look more interesting than what we're doing right now, even if they're not.
Great idiom, Emma. And actually, this is a good moment to talk about some common pros and cons of getting distracted. Would you like to start with the cons, the negatives?
Sure. So the big negative or con is that distractions make it hard to finish things. Like, you may start a project, but if you get distracted, it takes you much longer to finish. Sometimes you never finish at all.
Exactly. And another con is that distractions can make you feel stressed or frustrated. You know that feeling when you sit at your desk for hours, but you don't really get anything done? That's the power of distraction.
Yes. And if you're learning English, distractions can make it really hard to remember what you study. Your brain needs focus to really learn new things.
But are there any pros, any good sides to getting distracted?
Well, sometimes a little distraction can actually help. Like if you're stuck on a problem, taking a break and doing something different can give your mind a rest. Maybe you come back with a new idea.
That's true. Sometimes I get my best ideas when I'm not even thinking about work, like when I'm out for a walk or even in the shower.
Exactly. So I guess the key is balance. We all get distracted sometimes, and that's okay. But if distractions stop you from reaching your goals, then it's a problem.
That leads us to a really important point. What are the most common distractions people face today? Let's make a quick list.
Okay, number 1, for me, is definitely my smartphone. Social media, messages, videos, so many things to check all the time.
For me, it's notifications on my computer. Email pop-ups, work messages, news alerts. Even if I try not to look, they just pop up.
What about noise? Like if you live in a busy city or you have roommates or family at home, it can be really hard to focus.
Absolutely. And some people get distracted by their own thoughts, like we said earlier. Worrying about things or just daydreaming.
And let's not forget food. Sometimes I just can't stop thinking about a snack when I'm supposed to be working.
Haha. Food is a universal distraction. I'm sure our listeners can relate. Actually, let's ask them. Listeners, what's your biggest distraction? Maybe you can pause the podcast and think about it for a second.
Great idea. And if you want, you can even write it down in your notebook or tell a friend. Sometimes just knowing what distracts you is the first step to managing it.
Now let's talk about some strategies. How can we stay focused or at least get distracted less often? Emma, do you have any tips that work for you?
Yes. One thing that helps me is setting a timer. Like I tell myself, okay, Emma, you're going to focus for 20 minutes. No phone, no distractions. Then I set a timer, and when it rings, I give myself a break.
That's called the Pomodoro technique, right? Where you work for 25 minutes, then take a 5-minute break. It's actually named after those little tomato-shaped kitchen timers.
Exactly, and it really works because your brain knows you'll get a break soon, so it's easier to focus. What about you, David?
I like to make a to-do list and keep it simple, like I write down just 3 things I want to finish that day. If the list is too long, I feel overwhelmed and get distracted. But with just 3 things, I feel more in control.
That's a great point. Sometimes we try to do too much at once and our brains just can't handle it all. Keeping it simple helps.
Another tip is to change your environment. For example, if you're trying to study English, maybe you can go to a quiet library or even just clean your desk. A tidy space can help you focus.
Yes, and sometimes putting your phone in another room or turning off notifications can make a big difference. Out of sight, out of mind.
That's a good phrase. Out of sight, out of mind. It means if you don't see something, you don't think about it.
Here's another idea. If you're learning English, you can make it more fun and interesting. Listen to music in English or watch a movie. If you enjoy it, you'll want to pay attention.
Great advice. And sometimes telling someone your goal, like, I want to study for 30 minutes, can help you stay focused. It's like making a promise to yourself and to another person.
Or you can study with a friend. If you meet to practice English together, you're less likely to get distracted because you're helping each other.
Let's do a quick recap before we move on. To fight distractions, you can use a timer, make a short to-do list, change your environment, hide your phone, make things more interesting, share your goals, or study with a friend. Lots of options.
And remember, it's okay to get distracted sometimes. The important thing is to notice it and then gently bring your focus back to what you want to do.
Now, let's talk about some challenges people face when trying to avoid distractions. For example, what do you do if your family or friends keep interrupting you?
Oh, that's a tough one. Sometimes I just tell them, hey, can I have 20 minutes of quiet? I really need to focus. Most people understand if you're polite about it.
Yes, communicating your needs is important. And sometimes wearing headphones, even if you're not listening to music, can show people you're busy.
I do that too. It's like a do not disturb sign. But of course, sometimes things happen and you have to stop. That's okay. Life isn't perfect.
Another challenge is when you feel tired or stressed. It's much harder to focus if you didn't sleep well or you're worried about something.
That's so true. In those times, I try to take care of myself first. Maybe take a short walk, get some fresh air, or just do some deep breathing. Then I try again.
Great advice. Sometimes we think we're lazy or weak if we get distracted, but really it's just being human.
Speaking of being human, there are some funny myths or misunderstandings about focus. Like some people think they can multitask, do many things at once, and still do them well. But actually, our brains can only focus on one thing at a time.
Yes. Have you ever heard someone say, I'm a great multitasker? But really, they're just switching quickly between tasks, and usually they make more mistakes.
Exactly. So if you want to do a good job, it's better to focus on one thing at a time. Quality over quantity.
And here's another myth. Some people think you have to work for hours and hours without stopping. But actually, taking short breaks can help you stay focused longer.
Yes, breaks are important. Your brain is like a muscle. It needs rest, too.
Let's do a little challenge for our listeners. Right now, think of something you want to focus on today. It could be studying English, finishing some work, or reading a book.
Now set a timer for 10 minutes. Put away your phone and try to focus just on that one thing. When the timer rings, give yourself a little reward, like a cup of tea or a short walk.
Try it and see how you feel. Sometimes just starting is the hardest part.
Let's talk about some cultural differences with distractions. In some countries, people are used to working in noisy places like busy cafes. In others, people like quiet, private spaces.
Yes, for example, in some English-speaking countries like the UK or the US, open offices are common. People work together in big rooms, so you have to learn to manage distractions.
But in some cultures, it's normal to have private offices with doors. It's easier to focus, but maybe you feel lonely.
And in some places, people take long lunch breaks or afternoon tea. These breaks can help you relax and focus again later.
I love that. It's important to find a balance that works for you, and maybe learn from other cultures too.
Let's share a personal story. Emma, do you have a time when you managed to beat distraction and get something important done?
Oh yes. Last year I was studying for an important exam. At first I kept getting distracted by my phone and TV. But then I decided to study at the library with a friend. We made a rule: no phones until we finished our work. It was hard at first, but after a few days, it became a habit. And guess what? I passed my exam.
That's awesome. And it shows that making small changes, like studying with a friend or changing your environment, can really help.
What about you, David?
Well, I'm a writer, and sometimes it's really hard to focus at home. So I started going to a local cafe with just my notebook. No laptop, no phone, just a pen. The smell of coffee, the quiet music, and watching other people work helped me focus. I finished my first short story there.
That sounds so cozy, and it shows that sometimes a little background noise can actually help you focus, if it's the right kind.
Let's bring it back to English learning. What are some ways our listeners can stay focused when studying English?
One idea is to set a simple goal for each study session. For example, today I will learn 5 new words, or I will listen to this podcast episode and repeat the sentences.
And you can reward yourself when you finish. Maybe a piece of chocolate or watching your favorite TV show in English.
Or you can change things up. If you usually study with a textbook, try listening to music or talking with a friend in English. The variety keeps your brain interested.
And remember, mistakes are normal. If you get distracted, don't be hard on yourself. Just start again. Every little bit of practice helps.
And you can always come back and listen to this podcast again. We're here to help you stay on track.
Okay, now let's highlight some key vocabulary from today's episode. These are words and phrases that are helpful for talking about focus and distractions.
First up, distraction. Like we said, a distraction is anything that takes your attention away from what you want to do. For example, my phone is a big distraction when I'm studying.
Focus. This means to give your full attention to something. For example, I need to focus on my homework. The word comes from Latin, meaning hearth or fireplace, which was the center of the home.
Multitask. This means to try to do many things at the same time. For example, I can't multitask. I make too many mistakes. In most English-speaking cultures, multitasking is seen as a skill, but science shows it's not always effective.
To-do list. This is a list of things you want to finish. For example, I make a to-do list every morning.
Pomodoro technique. This is a way to manage your time. You work for 25 minutes, then take a 5-minute break. Pomodoro is Italian for tomato because the creator used a tomato-shaped timer.
Out of sight, out of mind. This means if you don't see something, you won't think about it. For example, I put my snacks in the cupboard. Out of sight, out of mind.
And finally, quality over quantity. This means doing something well is better than doing a lot of things badly. For example, it's better to write one good essay than 5 short, rushed ones.
Those are great words to remember, and you can use them not just in English class, but in your daily life too.
Now, before we go, let's quickly review what we talked about today.
We learned that distractions are everywhere. Phones, people, noise, even our own thoughts. But with a few simple strategies, we can manage our attention and get more done.
We shared tips like using a timer, making short to-do lists, changing your environment, and studying with friends. We also talked about being kind to yourself, because everyone gets distracted sometimes.
And we hope you found some motivation and maybe a few new words to use in your English practice.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Remember, you're not alone. Everyone struggles with distractions.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend or leave us a comment. And come back next time for more friendly English conversations.
Keep practicing, keep smiling, and don't give up. We'll see you next time on the Daily English Podcast.
Bye for now.
Goodbye, everyone.